Hola clase, bienvenidos. Hoy vamos a hablar más sobre el presente del subjuntivo. Okay, so today's flip video is going to talk more about present subjunctive. Remember that in your last flipped video, you learned that in order to use subjunctive in the subordinate clause, your main clause verb needed to be weird. Okay, today we're going to continue adding verbs that are weird and thus verbs that will trigger subjunctive in the subordinate clause. Okay, so a reminder. In order to use present subjunctive in the subordinate clause, two things must be true. Number one, that main clause verb must be weird. Remember that acronym stands for wish or want, emotion, impersonal expression or statement, a request, doubt, or denial. Okay, so far we've only learned the W, and we're going to learn the second half of the W today. Okay, and then there must be a change in subject. Okay, so again, in order to use present subjunctive in your subordinate clause, these two things must be true. The main clause verb must be weird, and there must be a change in subject. If the main clause verb is not weird, you'll need to use the present tense, which remember is called indicative. And if there's no change in subject, you will need to use an infinitive. Okay, so a quick reminder on vocabulary words for you. Your main clause, remember, is the first part of the sentence, okay, where there's the first subject and an indicative verb. Those two clauses are connected by a K. Then there's a second subject with the subjunctive verb. Look at my example at the bottom of the screen. It says, we suggest that you study. Okay, so when you go to translate that, you look at your main clause first. We suggest. Suggest, you're going to learn today, is a weird verb. Okay, it's our suggestion that you study, but it's possible that you won't. Okay, so we need to use the verb to study in the subjunctive tense. Okay, so the verb number one is weird, and number two, there is a change in subject. We goes to you. So when you translate this sentence, you have, nosotros sugerimos que tú estudies. Okay. So the topic of today's weird verbs are verbs of want. Okay, last video we learned verbs of wish or hope. Today we're going to learn verbs of want. Here are your verbs. Querer, to want that. Preferir, to prefer that. Aconsejar, que, to advise that. Recomendar, que, to recommend that. And sugerir, que, to suggest that. Okay, when you see one of these five verbs in the main clause of your sentence, okay, there's a K and a change of subject, then you absolutely need subjunctive in your subordinate clause. Let's look at some examples here. I want that you pay the bill. In English, it's common for us to say, I want you to pay the bill. Okay, but to properly say it in Spanish, I'm going to phrase it this way. I want that you pay the bill. Okay, to translate that, let's check first, do we need subjunctive? First, is want a weird verb? Yes, it is. Secondly, is there a change in subject? Yes, there is. Okay, so we need to put pay in the subjunctive tense. We get, yo quiero que tú pagues la cuenta. Let's look at another example. We prefer that they write the article. Okay, let's see. Is this a subjunctive sentence or is it not? Number one, prefer. Is that a weird verb? Yes, it is. It's right here on our list. And then secondly, is there a change in subject? And yes, there is. We today. Okay, so your translation would be, nosotros preferimos que ellos escriban el artículo. Okay. Just a quick reminder before you go to the practice. Remember, what type of verbs will not cause subjunctive? Okay, these are your verbs of certainty. Okay, these verbs are verbs of certainty cause indicative. And remember that indicative, all it means to you right now is present tense. Here's some common verbs of certainty. You saw these in the last video. There's no need to write them down unless you would just like to jot them quickly on your note guide. You've got saber, tener, ver, creer, pensar, and estar seguro. Okay, all of these verbs imply facts. They imply certainty, observations. Okay, so they do not cause subjunctive. Okay, let's look at our practice. The directions say, complete these sentences with the present tense, indicative, the present subjunctive, or an infinitive. Please also note that if there's an asterisk next to the verb, that means the verb is irregular in one or both of the tenses. And what I mean by that is it's either irregular in the present tense or the present subjunctive. Okay, let's do number 1 together. Number 1 says, you recommend that I get a patent. Okay, so let's see. Should we use subjunctive here or not? Number 1 is this first verb, your main clause verb. Is that a weird verb? Okay, yes, it is. It's a verb of want. And secondly, is there a change in subject? Yes, there is. To goes to yo. Okay, so you're going to need to put sacar in the present subjunctive. Your answer would be saques. S-A-Q-U-E-S. Okay, please pause me and complete these practice problems, and then we'll go over our answers. Okay, repasemos. Number 2, they suggest that I return early. You do need subjunctive here. Ellos sugieren que yo regrese temprano. Number 3 says, I am sure that the programmer knows everything. Okay, I'm sure of this. There is no element of doubt or uncertainty or will or wish. Okay, this is a verb or an expression of certainty. So do not use subjunctive here. You need present tense, sabe. Number 4, I advise that he become a detective. Okay, you do need subjunctive here. Aconsejo que él sea detective. Number 5, I believe that they are hardworking. Okay, I believe. That is a verb of certainty. You do not want to use subjunctive here, okay? You need present tense, son. Number 6, we prefer to work outside. Okay, we prefer that we work outside. There's no change of subject here. There's no que, all right? So you need an infinitive. Preferimos trabajar afuera. Number 7, I want you to behave well. Okay, when I say it that way, you can think, oh, Mrs. Thompson, that is a infinitive. No, it's not. Remember, with this want verb, you kind of have to say it awkwardly in English. I want that you behave well. Okay, I want you to behave well. There is a change in subject there, and want is a weird verb. So you get, yo quiero que tú te comportes bien. Lastly, number 8, you know that they exercise a lot. They do a lot of exercise. You know this. So that is a verb of certainty. There is no element of doubt there. Okay, so you cannot use subjunctive here. You need present tense, hacen. So you have, tú sabes que ellos hacen mucho ejercicio. Okay, hopefully you are starting to get the hang of this subjunctive stuff and that you are looking at every single sentence to make sure that if you're using subjunctive, your 2 things are true. Okay, that main clause verb is weird, and that secondly, there is a change in subject. If you have any questions or concerns, please jot those down on your note guide. Okay, muchas gracias. Adiós.